What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. We were supposed to go over the patch notes summary, but the patch notes were so short, there's really nothing in there besides Smilegate announced there will be an upcoming Mystic Summon banner. Alright, so that's what we're going to talk about here real fast, and this is going to be a no-nonsense, just very quick. I want to catch you guys all up if you're new, if you're returning, if you're worried about where to spend your Mystics. The right answer might be to skip, but we're going to go over all that here in just a minute and make things very, very simple. I say simple, but there's some ground rules we got to get over first. Number one being, ignore everything, guys, outside of the S rank row, okay? I was on stream earlier. We were creating a tier list for you guys, but honestly, I'm going to throw all of this out the window because if you like any of these characters in A or below, just go for them. You have that decided. If it's one of your favorite units, just go for it. Even if it's D rank, just be aware, you know, some of these units are very, they're in very dire need of buffs. But my main point is that right now, in the current state of the game, if we're talking about strictly, high levels of play in like RTA, there's only a few units that kind of line up against New Moon Luna, who's currently on the banner, and probably the main, competitor for your hard-earned Mystics. And so if you're not summoning for New Moon Luna, there's really only other few units you should be looking at here that are still available. The rest here, like Sea-Fans Apollo, Dragon Bride Senya, none of the collab characters will be available on this upcoming banner, so you don't have to worry about that. I will talk briefly about some of the buffs incoming, and why New Moon Luna might be, a factor in which you should summon. Let's say, for example, Remnant Violet, because her kit is very oppressive. And last but not least, sorry, there's a lot of ground rules I want to go over real quick. Upcoming, not confirmed, but pretty much confirmed, we know that these characters will most likely be coming out very, very soon. I expect ML Rose to be probably on the next banner, alongside a rerun ML 5-star. We have ML Ilynav, and all these characters, by the way, have been in those new cutscenes, those new cinematics. And then Harsetti, last but not least, the episode boss, which you have to use Mystics to summon for, and you will imprint her with gold transmit. So if you want to see how they look, just check out one of those new, the latest cinematic, I believe, by Smilegate. If you've been tuning into the E7WC, on all the break times, they show these videos, and you can see what these characters look like. So if any of these look interesting to you, even more reason to save your Mystics, if you didn't summon for New Moon Luna. Okay, so there's a lot of factors right now on why you might want to skip this. 1, to summon New Moon Luna. 2, because she might shake up the meta and make units like Specimen Says, like Remnant Violet, not very viable moving forward, even if they're getting buffs, even if Spez has been dominating some matches in the E7WC. She's going to be very, very strong in, countering a lot of kits. So be careful of that. All right. With all those ground rules out of the way, guys, once again, ignore everything A and below. RB, by the way, is so high up here because of his new EE. He's apparently going to be a very, very strong pick into Genua with his new exclusive equipment. So keep an eye out for him, especially in the E7WC as well. But don't take too much stock in where I placed everything. Let's just talk about the powerhouse units that might compete if we're just talking from a pure power level standard. And if you guys like any of the other units here in A, B, C, if your heart is set on it and you like that unit, just go for it, okay? Play the game how you want, but we're going to talk only about, we're going to save some time and just remove everything outside of S-Row, okay? So last but not least, these units are unavailable. Buffs coming soon. Remnant Violet is probably going to be somewhere around Specimen Says. I would place them higher, but I think New Moon Luna is going to keep them very, very niche, because if you pick them too early, they have so many counter picks. And then I think actually Sylvian, if you guys want my opinion, is going to be somewhere higher up. Not in the top tier S rank row, but somewhere up here in the A tier. I think her buffs are very significant, and we'll be able to test her coming up very soon. But with that being said, like I mentioned, let's go ahead and just hide all of this, and we're going to focus only on the S rank row, because I think if you guys are just going for power level, there's only a few units that really we want to compete with New Moon Luna, or you might want to be saving for one of these previously mentioned characters right here, okay? All right. So starting from the left, and I don't think I put too much stock in the left to right. All these units are good, but I do think Haste is probably one of the best, if not the best, of the bunch. Him and Dragon Bride Senya have been shaking up the scene. Haste, ever since his balance patch buffs, has been absolutely insane. Can slot into almost any units, any team comps, against any units, I should say, and is just a powerhouse. Does a lot, especially when you put him on counter set with Celestine. He can provide healing, damage, nukes. He has so much health, he can revive. He's a must-deal with unit for your opponent. And you can Soulburn Strip, which is super effective as well. So if you just want a no-nonsense unit they can use almost everywhere for PvP, look at Blood Moon Haste, okay? And actually, I think some people will even be better off picking him over New Moon Luna if you can't get New Moon Luna fast enough, or if you can't capitalize on that big, strong opener. Zio is just one I always want to recommend to new players. And actually, guys, I actually want to... Oh, okay, she is up here. Bellion is up there. But Zio is actually one I just want to talk about briefly. I just think he's a very strong pick for players that want to get into PvP that are either returning new. If you somehow don't have him yet, even if he's banned a lot, he's a unit that you really want to have as kind of an equalizer, right? His kit is so unique in the fact that he gets that kind of big opening status with his passive. Just his kit overall, right? The way he works, that he can be an opener where you don't need some insane gear. I think as long as he'll remain strong for that reason, he should always be one of your top picks if you don't own him yet. Death Dealer Ray, guys. So if you guys notice at the bottom here, I do have a connection tier. And you shouldn't pick any of these because you can get them if you haven't already picked them up from the Moonlight Theater, Spectre Tenebria from the opening connection. Death Dealer Ray is actually one of those as well. So you could get him from that, and I highly suggest you do if you haven't picked one of those units yet. This guy is also very, very strong. If we just take from the E7WC, the top players reach for him even as early as pick 1. He doesn't have a lot of counters, and he does so much for your team in terms of support, depending on what artifact you want to give him, in terms of control, and he can even be a closing finisher because of the way his S1 Explode works and the stacking injury. So I think this unit is really strong in the meta right now. Definitely look at him. Tywin is an interesting one, guys. I think I'm going to actually put this lower on the list, but if I was going for power level, I would actually rate him super high. The reason I rate him lower on the list is because he's not like, unless you're competing for tournament status at the highest levels of RTA PvP, I don't think a lot of you guys really need him. He's very strong in RTA, very strong even on like areas like Guild War defense, but he's kind of boring in the fact that a lot of these other units can either single-handedly like carry or provide just like more exciting plays. Tywin's a lot more boring. He's just so strong because he provides support in terms of debuff removal. His S3 is extremely powerful even when you combine it with units like Emerald Politis, Phantom Politis, and he also provides mitigation. So he's just a strong, very, very good knight right now. He might fall off a little bit here and there depending on how the meta shapes up. But if you guys are going for that just pure RTA power level, definitely, I think he might be one of the best knights currently at the moment, bar none. Next up, Dragon King Shroon. This is one probably also at the bottom of this tier. But she's also very, very good. Same thing similar to Tywin. She's more of a counter pick, so I wouldn't proactively pick her unless you like just her in general as well. But very, very strong in the current meta because of her anti-sleep, anti-stun. Very, very strong given how strong debuffs are currently. Navy Captain Landy, excuse me guys, tongue twister, is one I want to talk with y'all about. This unit I thought would be falling off like a ton of bricks with how many counters Smilegate has brought out. But if we base her performance in current RTA, base her performance off this year's E7WC, this unit is still ridiculous. The anti-crit, the fact that the RNG salvo pop-offs can still hyper carry. She's still one of the best hyper carries in the game. And if you need something like that, the fact that she's still strong here, definitely give her a chance. Bellion is one. I'll talk about Bellion last year, but Urban Shadow Shoe is also really strong. Some might argue she shouldn't be here in the top S rank row, but this unit is insane. Especially the more higher HP units are out. She is the best injury unit in my opinion. She has insane tempo with how fast she is. She can deal straight damage with her fixed buzz or the S3 nuke afterwards as well. I think she just answers the meta really well, and for her position, for that role, I don't think there's a lot of competition. And the fact that you can use her in a lot of different areas, not just RTA, all the PvP areas I think she really excels in. So defense especially on top of that. Last but not least, Bellion. This is one that I actually had in the A rank row, guys, but I think with the fact that New Moon Luna is going to be so powerful, the fact that she's a mage, and having those souls to really capitalize on initiative and momentum, tempo, I should say, Bellion I think is going to make a big comeback. She sometimes still gets banned here and there, but compared to like previous years, she hasn't been quite as scary. But I think that's definitely going to shift here soon with the new meta that New Moon Luna, no pun intended, is kind of bringing to the table. But just like Tywin and Dragon King Shroon, she's not going to be a unit that you're going to be very excited to play because number one, your opponent will either ban her or pre-ban her if their comp really relies around souls, and two, actually, that's about it. That's the biggest reason. You won't really get a lot of playtime with her because she is kind of a must deal with unit. When you bust her out, if your opponent has a game plan that revolves around Bellion not stopping their souls, they're not going to leave her up. So be careful with these three. They're more of like just very strong picks, but not exciting picks. All right. Okay. So guys, I think that should wrap things up. Once again, just to recap everything super briefly, there are very cool and amazing characters coming out very soon, so maybe save your mystics for that. The other thing is New Moon Luna. You should probably be picking her up if you just want power level. If you think you can gear her, I think she's definitely worth it. She will have some counters coming out. She's not going to be like she's not going to ruin the game, I don't think. There'll be people smart enough to build counters against her. but she will shape the meta, and units that are weak against Seal, right, which is most units. I always give the example of units like Specimen Says, right, and then maybe like Remnant Violet, Tekron, things like that, guys. These units that are fun and are pretty good, getting buffs, getting stronger, these will always just be very, very hard countered by certain units, especially New Moon Luna. So she's going to make a lot of units worse, just like Sea Phantom Politis and things like that. So be careful on some of the midline units you might go for on the Mystic Summon. But other than that, pick who you want. Try to go only for the S-Rank row if you're purely worried about power level. And if you want something else, man, I fully support, guys. Remember, if you're not going for the E7WC, if you're not going for top Legend Hall of Fame, pick whoever you want, play how you want. I think that's the best way to play Epic 7 in 2024. All right, enough yapping, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be on the Orbis Overdrive tomorrow on the Epic 7 official channel, and then I'll be casting again this Friday, I believe, for the tournament draw matches. So I hope to see y'all there, and I appreciate every single one of y'all. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.